Race 2 of the 2022 Prosecco DOC UK round goes lights out. Scott Redding, not such a good start from him this time around. Bautista will try and draw alongside as they make it to the end of the week, Croft Straight and into Redgate. Bautista is through for third position. Redding then will try now to recover. Around the outside goes Ikalekawona, battling in the mid-pack. Not a good start for Alex Lowe's, who's dropping positions left, right and centre early on. See the flash of the green Kawasaki that's already dropped down to 6th place. It's Razgatlioglu who leads once again off the line. Alex Lowe's with a drastic start. He's now been passed by Andrea Locatelli down to 7th position, gets back across the front of Locatelli to at least recover P6. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Jonathan Ray has been beaten from the line once again. Twice already this weekend. He's been headed into the first sector by Toprak Razgatlioglu, and in the 2 previous races, he hasn't been able to recover. This time around, he'll be determined to get to the front and try and control the race as quickly as possible. Oh, over the grass further back, Scott Redding scrapping with Michael Ruben Rinaldi for 4th. Here for the lead goes Jonathan Ray, under-braking into the Fogarty S's. Ray is in deep, but he can't quite get there alongside Toprak. He's got the better pickup though coming off the chicane. Close further back down the order from 4th positions down. Bautista in 3rd position, watching as his 2 main title rivals go toe-to-toe. Razgatlioglu defends into the Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, we saw Redding get through and Rinaldi as well into 4th there. What's interesting with Razgatlioglu out in front, Jonathan Ray in 2nd position into Coppa's turn 8, the very different lines through there. That's what opened a bit of a door for Jonathan to be able to attack Toprak.
We ride on board with Jonathan Ray in the tyre tracks of Toprak Razgatlioglu. Ray's got the better speed again, coming off turn 8. He's going to go to the inside this time around. Razgatlioglu hard on the brakes and deep on the brakes as ever. Ray will have to try and make the move now as they head down the hill. They're almost alongside. Ray is through. Jonathan Ray hits the front. Razgatlioglu will send it down the inside now into the Melbourne Loop. All the time, Alvaro Bautista is closing back in on the pair of them. And we have 3 different manufacturers in those top 3 positions, all now separated by less than a second. Ray and Razgatlioglu costing one another time here. Ray tries for the cutback. Razgatlioglu parks it on the apex and pulls through to lead again at the end of lap number 3. Yeah, Ray now with an opportunity in towards Redgate. Can't quite get there at the end of the week, Croft Straight.
Toprak lost a bit of momentum through the S's, ran over the curbs. That's what opened the door for Ray to get through, carry the speed into the Melbourne Loop. But how often with these riders, when one of them gets through, they immediately answer back. Toprak did that really well into the loop.
Bautista with a new fastest lap of the race, a 1:27.644. I think that tells you more about the way that Razgatlioglu and Ray were fighting last time around than it necessarily does about Bautista. But either way, we've seen Bautista really able to duel with Ray in race 1 over a feature-length race distance yesterday. So he is primed for the fight if the opportunity presents itself. It's Ray versus Razgatlioglu. Toprak looking to make it 3 wins out of 3 this weekend. But on the evidence of what we've seen in the first 5 laps, you'd fancy Ray's chances as things stand.
Yeah, and Ray was the fastest rider out in the track last time around. He had a new personal best, and you can see just how fast he is in certain areas of the track. But is he fast enough to get himself in a position to actually make the move? It's not looking likely into the S's right now. Still very early stages of this race, though only at pretty much a 3rd distance.
Razgatlioglu offline going into the Fogarty S's, and Jonathan Ray is going to get through nice and early this time, heading down towards the Melbourne Loop. Razgatlioglu knows he wants to answer straight back. Alvaro Bautista lurking there, runs in wide. He wants to try the cutback just in case they run one another off the line. Razgatlioglu does run Ray off the line and runs him back down to 2nd position, and Bautista now thinks about a move into Goddard's, where he fell in race 1 yesterday, but remains for the moment at least in 3rd place. And Scott Redding all the while is beginning to close up on the 3 of them now. The top 3 in the championship, genuinely nose to tail, separated by just 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, you don't want to hold that really tight line through Goddard's. It's off camber. There's a lot of bumps through there. You see the bikes chatter through that section. So for Alvaro Bautista, he needs to just sit here, be calm, wait for that opportunity. He might well get the opportunity down the back straight into the Foggy S's. That's where he made the move on the other Kawasaki of Alex Lowe's in the Super Pole race this morning. You can see for Ray using a little bit less of the track and still able to close that gap down on Toprak. So Kawasaki of the number 65 machine working really strongly at this stage.
Second retirement to the race. We saw Ilya Mikhalczyk crash out earlier on, and Leon Haslam has now retired into the pits. So disappointing appearance at his home round for Haslam.
Yeah, Toprak just out in front. His training regime is up against all the on-choos, Kenan Safoglu and all of the Turkish riders, and they go to go-kart tracks and they just battle with each other. It's not about being fast, it's just about winning the race, and that's the approach he takes to a World Superbike race as well.
Seen some videos of that, and it is messy stuff indeed. Razgatlioglu still from Ray and Bautista on lap 9.
It's been a real battle all the way through. It looks like Scott Redding just starting to lose a little bit of ground. Last time around gave up 0.4 of a second. So now we are down to top 3 in the championship, and they're the 3 out in front.
I would say 0.4 of a second to Bautista, certainly. He's not lost that much compared to Razgatlioglu and Ray. It's Bautista who made a lot of progress last time around. Alvaro Bautista riding a very good race thus far, but I'm touching wood all over the place because the moment we said that yesterday afternoon is when he went down at Goddard's. Bit of a slide there from Michael Ruben Rinaldi through the first sector, as he'll be well aware that Scott Redding is coming back at him. Ray continuing to drop back from the leadership of Razgatlioglu now, and the closest fight is indeed still for 4th place. Jonathan Ray again struggles through the Melbourne hairpin.
Yeah, just struggling there to run a little bit wider mid-corner for Jonathan Ray, but on this lap he's still pulled back 1/10 of a second so far in Toprak, so he's doing everything he can, riding really well. If you consider in yesterday's race, Toprak was effectively the best part of half a second a lap faster than anyone else, and Ray's been able to make changes to the bike, and it's clearly helped him a lot.
Axel Bassani has only been 1/10 of a second a lap faster than the man in front of him, Andrea Locatelli, but still you'd fancy Bassani's chances at this stage of the race. Not quite close enough as they head down the hill, and Locatelli defends the inside line on lap 15, but Bassani has got that gap right down now in the battle for 7th position. Andrea Locatelli would be looking at his best result of this weekend so far, a circuit that he hasn't generally favoured here at Donington Park. And a man who's been on the podium, of course, in the Superbike World Championship on no less than 5 occasions, will have found it frustrating to be scrapping for 7th, 9th, 10th positions over the course of this weekend. But nonetheless, it's a World Championship points up for grabs for Axel Bassani, who is also top independent on the circuit at present. This is Loris Baz in 10th place. He's already got through on Philip Ertel. He's dropped Ertel now into the path of Garrett Gerloff, and the next man for Loris Baz is Iker Lecuona, and I suspect that if we stick with these two, it's not going to be long before Loris Baz makes a move, and to prove me absolutely right, into the old hairpin goes Loris Baz to make the pass. Lecuona now with the cutback recovers the position. Very nicely done that from Lecuona.
Yeah, it's one of the challenges of trying to make the move in the old hairpin. You can be fast in and slow out, and then the other rider can try and attack you right back, but it's certainly only a matter of time before Baz is able to make that move stick. His pace is a lot faster than Lecuona. His pace is actually very similar to Locatelli, who's about 5 seconds up the road, so Baz he's been boxed up through the course of this race so far. That Super Pole crash, starting from the 3rd row of the grid after finishing 9th in the Super Pole race, he's just had a bit of a tricky weekend, but his pace and his potential all the way through this week has been a lot stronger than running just in the fringes at the top 10.
And of course running everything hot, sitting directly behind Toprak as well. That's not going to have helped, but Ray now has the opportunity to defend this 2nd place and keep the gap down at just 9 championship points between the two of them. If Bautista gets through, of course, not only will he gain 4 points, Jonathan Ray will lose them. So it's the difference between 20 and 16 championship points, and Bautista is going to make his move as soon as the Melbourne hairpin on lap 19. Bautista is through. Now he's got to negotiate Goddard's, where he fell yesterday, of course, and cost himself 20 championship points to Jonathan Ray. There are your live championship standings. But Jonathan Ray, having lost that 2nd place, would be further back now than he was before Alvaro Bautista just made that move. Incredible, consistent pace from Toprak just as in race 1.
Yeah, the blots on the copybook, the 28th, that's whenever Ray was able to come through, presumably, and then Toprak just had to try and sacrifice the lap to make sure he's still at track position out in front. But those last 7-8 laps from Toprak, he's just been able to keep the hammer down and open up that gap. It's 2 seconds now between himself and Alvaro Bautista, and running over that inside curb, and then probably going to see that bike move around a lot now once he gets on the gas. Toprak, though, smooth and calm on the bike, and everything's gone well from this weekend. It's quite fun in the paddock earlier on this weekend. Put on an impromptu stunt show for a lot of fans, and that's always a good indication of how relaxed Toprak is.
Toprak Razgatlioglu, who secured his maiden podium finish here at Donington Park, slides his way into the Melbourne hairpin for the final time. Alvaro Bautista has got that gap down to just less than a second, but he is not going to be close enough to strike. This one is going to belong to Toprak Razgatlioglu, ahead of Alvaro Bautista and Jonathan Ray. He joins Bautista and Ray in the hat-trick club. 3 wins out of 3 at Donington Park, and he puts that milestone to rest after 7 weekends in which he's managed 2 race victories in the WorldSBK paddock. It's 3 out of 3 at Donington Park for Toprak Razgatlioglu.